action.
Hello, I am Sarah Mora.
And I'm Dominic Ebarth, and today we're going to be talking about redemptive suffering in the face of anxiety and depression. So, a common question in today's society is, how can God let people suffer from anxiety and depression if He is A, real, and B, all-loving? But before we talk about the importance of redemptive suffering in the midst of mental illnesses, we need to remember that anxiety and depression are not always intrinsically mortal sins. Also, it is important to educate ourselves so we can better understand and truly listen to those who suffer from anxiety and depression.
Suffer from depression and feel anger towards God. She ultimately feels distant from Him because she feels so isolated, but when truly it is only through Him, that suffering, that we are able to unite ourselves to God.
It is also very important for us to realize that in our suffering, we are never truly alone, but God is always there with us, and that anxiety and depression are not unnatural responses all the time. In many situations, in a depressive society, it is normal to have a depressive response. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 4, it says, "Blessed are they who mourn, for they will be comforted." This shows us that God is there to comfort us in our darkest hours and lead us into the light.
Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." This is true because all suffering is a part of God's plan. A girl or a guy who struggles with depression has intensive internal suffering and may also make others suffer with them as well, like friends and family. This is an opportunity to grow because when you think about it, it is through suffering that people unite. This is an example of like natural disasters or someone with cancer and so on. These sufferings allow for good to come from evil. Even if it's painful, it transforms people. The devil wants you to lose hope and take control of your life. The challenges may be difficult to face, but it is through these sacrifices that we can be transformed and they can be redemptive suffering. Unearned suffering is redemptive. You didn't ask for it, and God did not intentionally want you to suffer, but He allows it for a greater cause.
Just because there is a great deal of suffering, that does not mean that God does not love you. Rather, He is allowing evil to happen in a corrupted world, but will never let you suffer more than you can bear without Him. In Revelation chapter 21, verse 4, it says, "He will wipe away every tear from our eyes. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the old order of things has passed away." So not only will God be there for you, but that the suffering that we endure in this world was never part of His final plan. He created you to love you and to be loved freely by you in return. His ultimate goal for you is to be happy, and that we are not authors of life, but only God is. And He decides when our time on earth is fulfilled. And so because of this, we know that because God has placed us here for a reason, that we are here for that reason, and so we must fulfill it in order for us to be truly happy and find our true
Sometimes
meaning
you have
in
to
life.
trust in God and say, God loves me. He wants the good for me, even though I cannot see it. We just have to remember that 1, we are not alone. 2, God's love and faithfulness are never dependent on us. He loves us even if we sin. And 3, pain doesn't ever have to be wasted. Your tears are not in vain, and your praise to God in the suffering is a marvel.
Even the persecutions won't take away the love that He can give you.